This is Owen Robertson, author of The Easy Exhaustion Cure, founder of the Health Mastery Coaching Program, and creator of this Double My Energy training program. So, I'm so happy to have you here. Thank you so much for all the comments you've given, all the responses, all the involvement. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate your feedback. Keep it coming. Thank you so much. So, in the previous videos, which you can always just select to go over them if you haven't already watched them yet, or just if you want to review them, but a quick recap. In the first video, what we went over is some of the most common myths that stop you from getting energy, and we went through the different types of energy that you need to cultivate. We looked briefly at the 7 pillars of very high energy and very low stress, and we looked at the most important part, creating a compelling story for yourself where you see yourself getting to that incredible, inspiring level of high energy, purposeful, loving, fully alive life. That's excellent. That was the most important thing we did in video 1. In video 2, we looked at some of the most damaging myths to do with getting energy. We looked at what's possible for you to do, and we looked at a technique which is really powerful to get you back to being present. And that's what we learned in video number 2, that the most important thing for health and energy, other than believing it's possible, which is the first video, is to be present. Okay? Because when you're in your head, that's when you get all your stress, that's when you burn through all your energy, that's where the quality of your life and certainly your energy and your health diminishes, when you're all in there. So we got you back to being present, which is awesome. And I really appreciate all the feedback that you've given me about acting on that one, because when we act, that we do really well. Which leads me nicely onto the next thing I want to talk to you about, and that is, very simply at the moment, I've given you an amazing amount, I believe, so far, which is really going to help you. But let's get really clear here. Let me give you a complete strategy. What does it actually take for you to be really successful at this? What does it take for you to double your energy? What does it take for you to halve your stress, right? Well, very simply, you've got a 4-step process. Now, step number 1, which hopefully you've already done along with me, is to create a vision, a story of the future which you're heading towards. You've got it really clear in your mind, okay? So that's good, that's step 1. Step number 2 is you started to get really present. You started to actually interact with the world out there and not be so much in your head, which is awesome. So that's step number 2. And if you haven't already been practicing that one, highly encourage you to do it. Just check out video number 2 as a reminder of exactly how you do that, and practice that. Now, when you've done step number 1 and step number 2, then you're ready for step number 3, and that's one of the things we're going to be covering in this video. We're going to be looking at the 7 pillars to energy cultivation. And then when you've learned those strategies, the last step, step number 4, is where you take action. And you can just imagine, okay, so you've created this wonderful ideal life. Doesn't matter, if you can get there, how are you going to get there, don't worry about that. You just created this wonderful life, you become present, you start interacting with the moment again, you started being in the outside world, being here now, and then now you're ready to receive the strategy to find out exactly what you need to do, step by step, not burdened by all these myths and all these ideas which are completely false. You're ready to hear exactly how to do it, step by step, and then all you need to do is go forth, as you've already been doing, I hope, along with me, and take action on these things. And you're going to feel incredible, and it's going to start working for you. And then I want you to comment, I want you to let me know how it goes, because I always really appreciate feedback, especially the success stories, because they make it worthwhile to be doing what I'm doing here on my own in front of a camera, to be sharing this stuff with you, because it's the testimonials that I receive every day from people just like yourself that encourage me to always go to the next level and making things as effective as possible and as easy as possible and as doable as possible. That's what I'm here for. So that's the 4-step process. Now let me talk you through those 7 pillars of doubling your energy and halving your stress, at least. Okay? Now I'm going to go through each one. I'm going to tell you why it's so important briefly, and I'm going to give you a couple of examples about how to do it. Now, I'm not going to be able to go through the whole thing in a massive amount of depth with you. If you would like to work with me on that, then there's going to be an opportunity for that coming up, to work with me doing that really in depth. But I'm going to give you everything that you need so that you can always find the information out, to fill in the blanks yourself. Okay, I'm not holding anything back. If you want to learn that from me, I'm more than happy to show you. If you feel that there's another way that you can get it, no problem. If you follow this framework and you get the results, which I'm talking about, is the results which are important, then you will get the result of energy. Okay, so this is what you need to do. So, the first step is to, you might notice I just did it before I described it, oxygenate, okay? Breathe. I can't tell you just how important this is for success. When I first started helping people with energy, I was a herbalist more and nutritionist and looking at all that stuff, and that stuff is important, it can be crucial. But what I found is when people are so tense that they don't breathe properly, nothing else works. It's just a crucial factor. And I also discovered, even more surprisingly, that when I shared this with people who are, well educated or well experienced in these areas, they all, they knew it. They knew it was true. They knew it for a fact. And the ones who really walked their talk and really were living embodiments of health, they also did it. And yet they weren't sharing with people. And I thought, why not? And the cynical part of me thought, well, maybe it's because they're not making any money out of it, because breath is free, right? And maybe there's an aspect to that, but I think it's also simply because it's quite hard to get people to do this kind of thing, complacent people. But obviously that's not you. If you're watching me right now, if you're listening to me right now, you're not a complacent person. You're someone who is going to do what it takes to get it done, because you have a compelling vision about what it is that you're going to achieve. You know it's possible, and you're being really present here and now with me and listening and taking it in, and you can feel that what I'm saying is true, right? That this issue of oxygenating is so important. So, what are the key distinctions of oxygenation? First one is the quality of air you breathe, and then second is the way you breathe. Okay, both of these are crucial. In terms of the quality of air you breathe, the fresher the air, the better. And just quickly to give you an example about this, most people say, they wake up in their room, and if you're in kind of a country like the UK where I'm in, it's cold and all the windows are closed, and then you go and then you drive to the office or wherever it is you work, and then you work in there, and it's all closed windows again, or it's air conditioning, and you don't have any fresh air. And then you wonder why you're low on energy, or lower on energy than you could be. So simple, so get fresh air. I highly encourage, wherever you sleep, except for under the most exceptional circumstances, and I realise they're always exceptional, have a window open, even if it's only a tiny crack. Yes, I know that may mean that you're cold. In that case, put an extra layer on. Put an extra blanket on the bed, right? I know that may mean that you're bothered more by noise. Put some earplugs in. Can you see what I mean? This needs to be a priority. Fresh air while you sleep, really important. Fresh air during the day, whenever you can. Even if you do have to work somewhere where you don't have any ventilation, when all the smokers go out to smoke, you can insist on you're all right to go out and breathe for 5 minutes, right? So get fresh air whenever you can. And of course, when you're not working and not sleeping, go and be outside and be, especially in nature, right? Wherever there's plants, the air is fresher. Whenever there's bodies of moving water, like a waterfall or the sea, the waves of the sea, air is very fresh. Okay, so get fresh air. Also the way you breathe, and we talked about this last time, not breathing from the chest, but breathing from the belly. And in terms of the way you breathe, so there's that, and then there's a couple of things you can do. One is to do exercises, which in yoga they refer to as pranayama, which is a breathing exercises where you basically oxygenate your body really powerfully, and then you release the carbon dioxide really slowly to really clear it all out. These are really powerful, and I highly encourage you to look up breathing practices, pranayama, and especially ones that focus breathing into the gut, which means that when you breathe in, the gut goes out. When you breathe out, the gut goes in. Okay, so that's one thing. And then also there's exercise, making sure it's the right kind of exercise, aerobic exercise. Not that there's anything wrong with the other kind, but the other kind doesn't oxygenate you. And what this basically means is that you exercise where the oxygen you're taking in is sufficient to meet your needs. Now, ironically, not only do most of us not exercise that way, we don't even live that way. You know, even just walking around the house or typing stuff in or answering the phone in the office, even then we're oxygen depleted, let alone when we exercise. So exercising in a way where we're oxygenated, really powerful. Now, the next pillar to be aware of is water, hydration. And again, this really comes down to two things. Before I go into that, why is water so important? If you've never, looked into this, I'm sure you've heard you should have, 8 glasses a day or whatever. And I think many people understand why. Basically, without water, every cell in your body, and there's trillions of them, doesn't function properly. And most importantly, different areas of your body can't communicate with each other. Water is the great conductor, and it allows everything to flow. Also, it's the great cleanser. It moves everything through, it moves all the waste out. And it's the great nourisher. It moves all the nutrients in. So it's this conductor. It moves everything around, moves the good stuff in, moves the bad stuff out, moves messages throughout the body. And without adequate amounts of water, all that stuff stops working properly. And you very quickly, start to suffer. Your energy gets lower, your stress gets higher, maybe you get a headache, maybe you get some kind of pain, all this kind of stuff. Very simple. There's an excellent book called The Body's Many Cries for Water, which can explain this all to you in detail if you want to really go into it and research it. But basically, there are two pillars to getting enough water, right? One is to get the right quality of water, and another is to get the right amount of water. Okay? Now, both of these vary, and I'm not going to go into either of these now because they're huge topics. But again, if it's something that you haven't mastered yet, I highly encourage you to look into it. Look into getting the best quality of water that you can, and the key distinction with quality of water is that it's hydrating. Right? So there are some waters out there that are being sold that are promoted, which are cleansing, or some that are alkalizing. These types of waters aren't necessarily hydrating. So we want to look for water which is really hydrating. That's the crucial thing about water. And then look at the amount, okay? And that does depend to some degree on a lot of different factors, which we don't have time to go in here, but look at getting the optimal amount for you, okay? So that's water, another crucial thing. And before you even think about food, before you think about anything else, think about oxygen and water. Do I need to breathe? Do I need to breathe fresh air? And do I need to drink some water? Such crucial aspects of energy that almost everyone misses. The next is, before we go into food, before we even think about food again, is mineralization, remineralization. Now, what does that mean? What is a mineral? A mineral is basically the building block of physical reality. What does that mean? I don't know if you remember chemistry at school, but you got the periodic table, the blocks for the rows, the letters, and you got basically 92 atomic elements. So every one of those is a mineral, right? So everything's a mineral. I mean, oxygen is O2, so that's a mineral, in fact. Water is H2O, so in fact, again, that's a mineral. Your body, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, it's minerals, right? So everything in the physical world, but not just that. The camera I'm talking to right now, this whiteboard behind me, the lights, everything around you right now, it's all minerals, okay? So there's nothing weird about minerals. Minerals are just what the natural world is made out of. So when we talk about minerals, we're really talking about the, not big minerals like hydrogen, oxygen, and carbon that we have a lot of. We're talking about the minor minerals, the ones that we don't need as much of, but which are absolutely crucial. Now, again, I could do hours on this, and I have done hours on this, so I'm not going to give it all to you here. But again, it's something to open your eyes to and something to be aware. Just to give you an idea, probably the two minerals which are most important to be aware of and focus on for energy and reducing stress. For energy, more than anything, is magnesium. Okay? Magnesium is a mineral that your body uses for over 300 enzymatic processes. Right? It's needed for almost everything in your body. It's absolutely crucial. And it's one of the minerals that we in the Western world are the most depleted in of all. Why might that be? Because stress depletes it, right? So stress depletes magnesium, and then you get stressed more easily, and then when you're stressed, you use up more energy, and in order to use energy, you need magnesium, and then you have even less magnesium, and it's a vicious circle, so we have less and less magnesium. Okay, so look at magnesium, but warning, make sure it is the right quality, make sure it's the right amount. Okay, so those are really crucial distinctions. Magnesium. And then another one is sodium. Sodium. Now, obviously, you may have heard of sodium. Oh, low sodium diet, sodium. Sodium, yes, sodium is salt. Salt is sodium chloride, so sodium plus chloride, just like water is hydrogen plus oxygen. Okay. Now, there are good forms of salt and there are bad forms of salt. And the bads are very, very bad. They're basically heated salts and processed salts and with toxic fillers added. And your body doesn't recognise them as food. And yes, it causes problems, high blood pressure, all the rest of it. But then there is natural good salt. Now again, I can't advise you on this properly here because it does depend on your circumstances. And even good salt can raise blood pressure. So you need to be in the right place. But a lot of people in the health industry believe that salt is bad, without really knowing much about it. People who should know better often espouse this opinion. And that's because sometimes they see temporary improvements when they tell people to cut out all salt, because it helps them get out the bad salt. But my research and my experience has shown me again and again that people who are low in energy, and especially people who feel ungrounded and easily stressed and overwhelmed, are almost always low in salt. Almost, okay? So getting a really good quality form of salt like Celtic sea salt and getting an amount that helps you to feel stable and grounded and centered. I know this is controversial, but it has literally, again, every piece I'm giving you has helped at least one person I know completely cure them, right? So that's why when we add everything together, we can guarantee success. With just that one thing of adding more salt, I'm known to completely transform people's lives. Same is true for magnesium, same is true for breathing fresh air, same is true for hydrating adequately, and everything else I'm going to cover, So these are all really crucial pieces. The next pillar, so we've done pillar number 1, is oxygenate. Pillar number 2, hydrate. Pillar number 3, remineralize. And now we're on to pillar number 4, which is to alkalize. Okay, so again, I could do a lot about this. I first learned about alkalizing through Dr. Robert Young, who's done extensive research in that area. In order to find out the basics of that, I highly encourage you to seek him out, and he'll explain to you all about it. However, in my personal experience, in my practice of helping people, I found that that one system can be a bit one-sided and not looking at the big picture, which is what we're doing here. But just in terms of understanding alkalizing, understanding the damaging effects of too much acidity in the body, how it leads to more stress, how it leads to all kinds of opportunistic organisms, whether it's viruses, bacteria, yeast, growing in your body, whether it means that your body doesn't function as well, it can't do cellular reproduction and respiration. There's all sorts of problems with acidity. Okay, if you don't understand what any of this means, acidity, alkalinity, don't worry. You can either follow the steps I outlined for you, or you can find out more about it. So alkalinity, how do we get alkalinity? Well, alkalinity is mainly from minerals, in fact, which we've already covered. Alkaline minerals like magnesium is a very powerful alkaline mineral. Sodium in the form of sodium bicarbonate, very powerful alkaline mineral. However, there's also other ways, and some of my favourites other than those are greens, especially green juices. So the colour green in anything, whether it's a spinach or a cabbage or a cucumber or anything like that, they all help to alkalise the body. And when you juice large amounts of these green vegetables, it can really help you to powerfully alkalise. And it's another essential pillar to lowering stress and increasing energy for a lot of people. It can really help. Not essential for everyone, like none of these are essential for everyone, but in the majority of cases, this can make a massive difference. And again, if you look up green juices, if you Google it, you'll find all sorts of people who claim it's cured, this and that, major disease, terminal disease, they're convinced. This is just a massive thing, green juices. And then also tonic herbs, especially kidney tonic herbs. I find them to be very powerfully alkalizing, quite often even more than greens. Herbs like Schisandra, Hoshi Wu, Dendrobium. And if interested in all this, I recommend that you look at my website, Lionheart Herbs. There's a load more information about that. So tonic herbs, especially kidney tonic herbs. Why is this? Because the thing in charge of controlling the acidity, alkalinity in the body is actually the kidneys. So if you strengthen the kidneys, I'm going to talk more about tonifying in a little while, then It helps your body to be more alkalized. Really simple. What else helps alkalize your body? On green juice and herbs. Back to the first pillar, breathing. The more that you breathe out slowly, the more that you allow acids and acid waste to go out of your body. Okay, so most of us, even when we try and breathe well, taking a deep breath like into the chest, right? When people try and then just let it collapse. This is not a good way to alkalize, okay? And to alkalize, we want to focus on really breathing out slowly, and that's why when you learn presence in video number 2, what do? Just breathe in, reasonably quickly, it's okay, stop, breathe in, become present, and then breathe out slowly. Because that gets the acids out and allows us to alkalize and relax and energize, because then when we take the next breath in, we really energize ourselves. It's that simple, okay? So that's the bottom line ways that you can alkalize really powerfully, really quickly. The next thing that we're going to learn about is relaxing. And in terms of relaxing, one of the things is the way we breathe. A big part of relaxing is presence, and of course we've already covered that. Being in your gut, being in right here, right now, and not in your head, that's a huge part of relaxing. And then also sleep, and the attitude that you take to life. Okay, so the attitude you take to life, if you believe you're a victim and you can't do anything, then this is going to make you tense. Okay, so realize that you can create what you want to create, do what you want to do. This is actually really relaxing. And then sleep. Most people don't sleep enough. Okay, and most people, even when they do sleep, they don't sleep very well. Okay, so quantity and quality. In order to, if we don't sleep, it severely damages in all sorts of ways. When we sleep, that's when we recover, repair, recuperate, rejuvenate. It's where your body cleanses a lot of the bad stuff out that's been accumulating throughout the day, a lot of the waste that just naturally show up just through living and breathing and existing. And it's when your body sorts out all the issues that have been going on emotionally and psychologically in the form of dreams. It's where, if you have spiritual beliefs, that you can easily come back into contact with Source, which is what we call delta sleep or deep sleep. You go back to true essence or true being, which is really important for your emotional, spiritual, psychological health. It's when your body rebuilds the cells. It's when your body clears out free radicals. There's so much to it. So basically, for health, sleep is absolutely crucial. And a big disservice has been done in the whole world, and especially, ironically, the whole health world. Oh, I'm so healthy now, I only need 4 hours sleep a night. Nonsense, Okay, it's true. If you do all the other stuff I talked about, the other 6 pillars, then yes, you'll be able to feel the same as you did before with less sleep, or even better with less sleep. Does that mean sleep doesn't matter? Absolutely not. You need to get the right quantity and quality of sleep. And this relates a lot to a neurotransmitter called melatonin. Melatonin is basically a messenger, a chemical messenger that your body creates in the brain, in the pineal gland, and you need to create enough of it to really have that good rejuvenating sleep. And there are many different steps to do that. Again, I'm sure you can find out about how to sleep well, sleeping at the right time, making sure that your environment is correct, all that kind of thing. And if all of that fails, then actually supplementing in melatonin or something which creates melatonin can also be useful. Okay, so sleep is a really big and important part of rest. So that's pillar number 5 is rest. And pillar number 6 is balance. And now there's all kinds of areas in life we need to balance. We need to balance the hormones, the immune system, but the kind of balance that I'm talking about with this program when it comes to doubling your energy, halving your stress, and it's the most important one that often causes everything else to come into balance anyway, is balancing your blood sugar. So balancing your blood sugar relates to the first type of energy we talked about on the first video, everyday energy. Okay, so everyday energy basically comes from the air you breathe, and it comes from having a balanced blood sugar. Okay. Now, when you have stress, your blood sugar is always out of balance. And if you have any stimulants, then your blood sugar is out of balance. And when that gets bad, then you get hypoglycemia, which is where you constantly need to boost it with either by stressing yourself, or by having a stimulant, or by having something sweet or sugary like carby, like bread or whatever. This is the trap we get into, and if you carry on with that, then quite often you put on a lot of weight. Sometimes it even leads to type 2 diabetes, all sorts of other health problems. All start with blood sugar imbalance, okay? So not only is this important for energy, it's important for not having a lot of serious diseases. You know, cancer, for example, has also been linked to problems with sugar metabolism. There's a lot of other issues that revolve around blood sugar balance, okay? So you need to find a way to balance your blood sugar. And unfortunately, the strategy that's the most easily available to you out there is basically to eat very frequently and eat loads of protein. This is not an intelligent strategy. It can work in terms of giving you short-term results some of the time, but what it does long-term is it causes you to, have way too much protein, which is damaging to the kidneys. Kidneys trying to process all that. It creates loads of acidity. Way too much food, it doesn't give your digestive system a break, so you build up more and more undigested food and toxicity inside you. It can make you feel better but it's a little bit like saying that, that your leg hurts and therefore you need to, learn to walk around in crutches. This can be true for a while, but it's better to deal with why your leg hurts. Do you know what I'm saying? Rather than having this as like as a crutch, we need to get rid of that and actually balance your blood sugar. And there's basically strategies for that really work. And if I were to boil it down into, like a 10-second thing for you, the bottom line is make sure that you eat your first meal of the day within an hour, at the most 2 of waking up, right? And most people with blood sugar problems don't do this. And then make sure that meal has, yes, reasonably high levels of protein and high levels of easily digestible fat and low levels of carbohydrate, especially high glycemic carbohydrate. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, again, this is a complete training in itself. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about, you don't even know what blood sugar is, no problem. Now you know though. In order to experience that optimal energy and to not have the high stress, you need to learn to balance your blood sugar, and you need to learn to do it well. And don't fall for the high protein frequent meal thing, because that doesn't work. Okay, and the last thing that I'm going to cover with you is to tonify. Now, what does tonify mean? Tonify is an English translation of a Chinese herbal medicinal concept. And there's something very interesting about the difference between the East and the West. In the West, we tend to pay doctors and practitioners to fix us once we are unwell. In the East, the model of payment is we tend to pay practitioners to keep us well, and then we stop paying them when we get unwell. What a concept. As a result of that simple distinction, in the East there is a lot more emphasis on tonifying, which is building you up, keeping you strong, and preventing you from getting sick in the first place. Now, even if you do have a problem, even if your energy is already very low, or if your stress is already very high, you can still massively benefit from tonifying. And that's especially tonifying the systems that relate to energy. Now, they all do to some degree, but the systems that relate to your everyday energy are your digestive system and your respiratory system, which in Chinese medicine they call the lungs and the spleen. And then the system that relates to your reserve energy is your kidney organ system, right? Now, which relates to your central nervous system, reproductive system, right? So what we're talking about here, we're talking about what in Chinese medicine would be referred to as kidney tonics, spleen tonics, and lung tonics, okay? And to take these herbs regularly, they're as safe as food. Again, my website, lionartherbs.com, will tell you all about tonic herbs, so I don't need to cover that with you here, but these are the types specifically which help you to increase your energy, okay? And I'm not going to sell herbs to you here, this is giving you a complete strategy, but all of these together, any of these, I've known people who just take herbs and suddenly feel amazing. I've known people who just done the alkalizing thing and their energy goes to the roof. I've known people who've just remineralized with one crucial mineral, whatever it may be for them, and they feel incredible. I've known people who just balance their blood sugar and suddenly they go from a life of constant roller coaster stress and drama and all the rest to just like a nice, even feeling awesome. All of these things I know, I've personally worked with, spoken to, helped, heard from people where just this one thing makes all the difference. Stack them all together on top of each other and you have a guaranteed result. Now, if all that went past your, over your head, or you're like, oh, I'm struggling to keep up or whatever, don't worry. First of all, this video is not going anywhere anytime soon, so you can just watch it again and really get to grips with it. And second of all, as I kind of hinted at already, I'm going to make available to you very soon a complete training program. Very, very easy to do, very easy to understand, and absolutely comprehensive step by step. But I'll tell you about that in a little bit. First of all, I just want to get to another thing, which is to answer some of the most frequently asked questions I get about this whole subject. Okay, so I'm going to answer your questions. This is not things I've picked out randomly. This is questions that I hear again and again and again on the subject of energy and the subject of doing the various different pillars that I've talked about today. So, what have I got here? I'm just going to go up, 5 of these frequently asked questions. I'm just going to pick them at random. And then, no premeditated answer. I'm just going to give you whatever comes from me being present right here, right now with you. So, first question. How do I prevent myself getting overwhelmed with the different things I need to do? Okay, great question. And probably, maybe quite appropriate for some of you watching this right now, when it comes to the 7 pillars. There's various different things. First of all is to focus on what you can and should do, and what you need to do, and what you want to do, and not on what you shouldn't do. Okay, this is a big one. Most people focus on what they shouldn't do, and then it just doesn't serve them. It makes them feel bad, it makes them give up. So first of all, focus on what you should do. Second of all, focus on what you're going to achieve. Most people who get overwhelmed focus on their to-do list and not on their outcome. Right? If I say to you, what's your goal, your dream, your vision? Okay, and you picture that, you can feel it, right? How does that make you feel? Okay, and now if I ask you to look at your to-do list, all the things that you want to do, all the things that you have to do, all the things that you need to do, how does that make you feel? Probably not too good, right? If you're like most people I know, probably even overwhelmed, right? So stay focused on your outcome. That's a really important part of all this. And be present. And probably last thing for overwhelm is do one step at a time. So I have structured the steps that I laid out for you in that order for a very specific reason. Because you want to start from the beginning. You want to start with oxygenating. Okay. You want to start with the hydrating. Then you can look at the basic building blocks that your body needs, which is the remineralizing. Then you need to get your body back into acid-alkaline balance, which is the next one, alkalizing. Okay. Then you need to start resting and relaxing and recuperating, recovering, okay? Then, and only then, because everyone always wants to focus on food, only then start to focus on food, and then only think about balancing your blood sugar. That's your number one priority if you care about energy and stress. And then lastly, but also very importantly, start to add in things which tonify you and strengthen you. Now, to be honest, the tonify one is like a bonus one. You can also begin with that. You can do that at any point. But it's just to stop you getting overwhelmed one at a time. If you're watching this right now, can you remember to breathe? Yeah? And if the answer to that is no, okay, do a reminder. Write out a poster and put it above your bed. Breathe, Put one above your screen on your on your screen at work or on your TV screen. Breathe. And while you're watching, wherever you're watching, oh yeah, breathe. Right? You can remind yourself of these things, but yeah, to stop getting overwhelmed, focus on the goal. Focus on what you should do, not what you shouldn't do, or ideally what you want to do. And focus on doing one thing at a time. Okay, next question. Don't know why that one made me laugh so much. Okay, random question. I'll try and get through this more quickly. Can I afford to increase my energy? Well, okay, I'm going to ask this really simply. Can you or can you not afford to breathe? Or can you, in fact, afford not to breathe? Okay, so yes, some of these things cost money, minerals cost money, but you're eating anyway, right? Out of the two, getting the right minerals in is more important than getting calories in, right? So, really get your priorities straight, I would say, with this one, Can you afford not to be healthy? That's a really good question. Can you afford not to have energy? Can you afford to carry on being as stressed as you are? And the answer to that is no, I hope. You can't afford not to do this. It's really as simple as that. And even if you just, okay, that's all very well, but I absolutely have no money. Okay, you can still breathe. You can still stop being a victim and create the life you want. You can still be present. You can still hydrate and drink water, right? These are the most fundamental things, and they're all free. So can I afford to double my energy? Absolutely yes. Next one. Will I have to stop doing all the things that I love? Now, I guess this person probably isn't talking about staring lovingly into the eyes of their loved ones, or making the world a better place, or sorry, I'm being a bit facetious, but yeah, I know what you mean. Talking about, you know, your chocolates and your nightcap and your indulgences and your TV and all the rest of it. The simple answer is no, you don't have to stop. This wasn't a big list of things to not do, you probably noticed. These 7 pillars are all things to actively do. Now obviously, does it help to stop doing things which drain your energy? Absolutely, but that's not the focus of anything that I teach. Why? Because what we focus on, we feed. So you focus on, I mustn't, whatever it is, I mustn't drink coffee, I mustn't drink coffee, I mustn't drink coffee. Guess what your unconscious hears? Drink coffee. Drink coffee. Right? We don't want to do that, so forget about that. Focus on getting some good stuff in. Focus on having some water. Focus on having some green juice. Focus on having some tonic tea. You know, and then see if you've even got space for coffee or any need for it. Right? Focus on breathing. Do you see what I'm saying here? So no, it's not about giving up the things you love. It's about going for the things that make you feel loving, make you feel alive. Right? That's what this is all about. Okay, next question. Having a big list of things to do seems like a big burden. We kind of covered that with the overwhelm thing again. I asked someone to do this for me. But yeah, I do understand that, you know, oh God, you know, oh, it's another to-do list. No, this isn't another to-do list, okay? This is a superior way of living your life. I really can't put it more simply than that. This isn't like a diet. This isn't just a thing to do for a little while to get a result. Although, of course, you can treat it that way. But really, by all means, see it that way to begin with, right? Say, it was an experiment. I'm not just going to believe it, I'm going to test it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to try it, I'm going to see what happens. Awesome. But when you do it and you feel amazing and you realise how good it makes you feel, then you're going to want to carry on doing it, you know? So, I mean, is there anything worthwhile that when you first tried it, it wasn't like a big list of things to do? I mean, if you drive, right, when you first learned how to drive, was it like, oh God, I've got to do that, and that, you know, is it worth it now? Do you just do it easily and effortlessly without thinking about it? How about another one? Walking. You know how much effort you put into walking when you first started? It was impossible, and you kept falling over and you kept falling flat on your face. In comparison, because of the way that I lay this all out for you, this is going to be easy. And yet you did it, you managed to learn to walk, right? It's that simple. It's like tying your shoelaces, it's like riding a bike, it's like whatever it is that you now do completely easily without even thinking about it, okay? It can be like that. And because all these things are wonderful things that make you feel good, it's really easy. So don't worry about being a big list. And again, if a big list is intimidating to you, focus on the outcome and focus on doing one thing at a time. As soon as the first thing becomes a habit, move on to the second thing. Really easy. And then lastly, where do I begin with all this? Well, I mean, we've already covered that, but I'll recap really briefly. So first of all, before anything, even before breathing, you have to create a compelling vision about what it is that you want. You have to see it. You have to see it in front of you. And if you don't see it, okay, you have to at least make a story about it, right? That's why we said, make a story. Imagine as if it's someone else and it just feels impossible to you. Okay, so, you know, I was doing okay and you know, I had the possibility and then it all seemed to go wrong and that may be where you're at, or it's a struggle, or I'm doing my best, but whatever it is for you. And then, you know, I discovered this thing and then I got this amazing experience and now I'm doing, that's what you need, right? So that's first, number one. Step number two, get really present. Use the very simple technique I showed you. And get really present before you try and learn anything, ever, right? Including this. Which then leads us to number three, get the right strategy, right? Which is what you're doing right here, right now with me. Get the right strategy. And then lastly, take action on it. Actually do it. So that's where you begin. Those are the steps. I want you to imagine doing each of those steps. So you can imagine creating a story where you overcome, right? Where you break through. Awesome. You can imagine just getting present, getting really into life, feeling really alive, being really engaged with the world around you. You can fail that, right? You can imagine that. Next, you can imagine being handed to you just a step-by-step guideline that shows you exactly how to do everything. You You can imagine that, right? And then lastly, you can easily imagine just taking action on it and getting the results and trying things and feeling better and then going to the next level, going to the next level, going to the next level. I want you to really feel it, I want you to really see it, and I want you to imagine what it's like right now, because you need to imagine it to do it. Now, as you can probably see, you probably feel, this excites me. Being able to share this information with you really excites me and infuses me, because I know what a huge difference it made to my life, and I know what a huge difference this can make, through the feedback from thousands of people. And I hope one day that number's going to be millions of people. And I hope that you're part of that. You're part of going, a new movement from getting involved in all this complicated stuff and all these, things that don't really work and these different products and these magic bullets and these, one pill cures and all this nonsense, and just putting that aside and going, okay, I want the real stuff now, and I'm willing to do what it takes in order to get there, because actually that takes a lot less time, and actually that's a lot easier, to do, because when you're looking for the magic bullet, one cure, one size fits all, dogma theory that applies universally to everyone exactly, then you can be struggling with that for decades, and I've known so many people struggle with that for decades. Instead, how about having a framework to work within that shows you step by step how to judge things exactly right for you, because all of us are different, right? So this is what I want to offer to you, and this is what I'm going to make available to you very soon. Because you're watching these training videos, I'm going to give you a special link. It's very limited availability. It's going to be also available to you for a discounted price, because you've stuck with me just by getting to the end of this first video. You show me that you care about this, so I'm going to reward that. I'm going to give you this amazing opportunity. This is going to be a step-by-step program, which gives you an overview, tells you about the mindset. We've gone into a couple of them, but there's a couple of more things that are also important. It gives you a big picture strategy, like we covered briefly today, and then more importantly, I zoom in, right? And then we have absolute detailed step-by-step how-to. You're going to find out about every single part of it. What it is, how to do it, when to do it, why to do it, how long to do it for, how much to do, how often, any cautions, anything you need to be aware of. It's just going to be completely as in-depth, comprehensive and helpful on every level as it possibly could be, because I know that that's the ideal thing that you need in order for you to get to where you want to go. And then, obviously taking action is that crucial fourth step, even when I've given you that detailed strategy. So I'm going to give you everything that you need in order to take action. All the support, all the encouragement, all the lists and timetables and all that kind of awesome stuff. It's just going to be all laid out for you. Now, do you absolutely need all that? Absolutely not. You can take what I've shared with you today, you can take what I've shared with you over the last few videos and run with it. And if you do, awesome. I'd love to hear from you. But personally, I am someone who loves to, get real in-depth guidance and support. Why? Not because I'm incapable. In fact, I used to hate to admit I needed help from anyone, to be honest with you. But I've realised, eventually, time and experience and all the rest of it has taught me that you can either try and do it your way and struggle with it. You may well get there, but it takes a lot longer. Or you can just look and say, hey, here's someone who's worked out exactly how to do it, exactly how to teach it, exactly how to present it, exactly how to take action on it, who knows exactly what to do and is going to show me step by step. That, if I need to learn anything, that's what I'm going to be looking for, and that's why that is what I want to share with you. So, thank you so much for watching this training. I really appreciated it. I'm going to get back to you soon about an offer, as soon as it's available for this amazing step-by-step program. In the meantime, please, share with me any comments, any questions that you may have, and I would like you to take action at least on the first part of what we've talked about here. So, irrespective of whether you go and do training with me or not, I want you to, again, video number one, we talked about creating a story where you create this ideal life for yourself. Number two, we talked about getting present and just taking a breath and becoming aware of what's going on right here, right now. And number three, today, what I want you to do and really take away from it is to focus on breath, and focus You know, even if you don't exercise or breathing practices, all that's new to you, just focus on fresh air. Become aware of it. Become aware. Ask yourself these questions. How much fresh air am I getting every day? How can I get more fresh air every day? How can I get more fresh air right now? What can I do to make the air in my house more fresh? You know, maybe that's opening a window, maybe it's adding more plants, maybe it's adding an air purifier. You know, so look at that. Look at that first pillar at least, and then let me know how it goes. I really look forward to hearing from you, seeing your comments here. Get involved with the other people commenting as well. You know, let's all help each other. And I hope to see you soon, where I'll share another video with you. Thank you.